Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and help me welcome our Master of Ceremony to the stage.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to AFSA's 2026 International Convention for the Welcome Breakfast. I am Technical Sergeant Margot Cadigan, and I am honored to serve you as your Master of Ceremony today. I hope everyone's day is off to a good start, and last night the convention kicked off on a great foot. We raised an astonishing $40,000 towards our AFSA charities. Let's give it up for our donors. Now, before we begin our ceremony, I would like to recognize our distinguished guest this morning. Accompanied by his wife, Dr. Danielle Wolf, the 21st Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, David Wolf. Representing the office of the Chief Master Sergeant of the Space Force, Chief Master Sergeant Charles Apodaca. Our keynote speaker, former Command Chief, Air Force District of Washington, and now the Chief Executive of On the Brink Consulting, Chief Master Sergeant Retired, Anthony Brinkley. Additionally, we are honored to have our former Chief Master Sergeants of the Air Force joining us this morning. Accompanied by his wife, Lori, the 11th Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, David Campanelli. Accompanied by his wife, Pat, the 13th Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Jim Finch. Would our AFSA International elected and appointed officers, as well as the AFSA's division presidents, please stand to be recognized. Would all past AFSA International and auxiliary presidents please stand to be recognized. Accompanied by his wife, Laura, and his daughter, Riley, AFSA's International President, Stephen Harrow. Accompanied by his wife, Lillian, our host this morning, the Chief Executive, Keith Reed. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage our sponsor this morning, the Director of Outreach, Waldorf University, Dr. Ron Spradling.
Good morning. So I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to start with a fun fact. Did you know that the CIA, and this is true, the CIA plotted one time to taint Fidel Castro's cigars so his beard would fall out? Look it up, it's true. I don't know why I know that, but don't be messing with my food or anything and make my beard fall out this week, okay? So welcome to the AFSA Summit 2026. Waldorf University is honored, and I mean honored, to be partners with AFSA, to work with all of you. My cohort, Alan, back there, we're both honored to be retired Air Force, and we're looking forward to meeting with you and just having the chats and building those relationships. So throughout the week, just take it all in. Take it all in. Focus on helping one another and develop each other. And remember, leadership is all around us. It goes up, it goes down, it goes backwards, it goes forward. And most of the time, the people you're leading are leading you in return. So with that being said, again, welcome to the AFSA Summit. And thank you so much. And let me ask you, do you want me to end this with something that's very ironic that I learned recently? Okay, any firefighters in the house? All right, you'll appreciate this most. So in 1836, there was a bad fire at the Washington, D.C. Patent Office. And one of the documents that was destroyed was the original patent for the fire hydrant. Have a great day.
Thank you, Dr. Spradling. We appreciate those inspirational words and those continued partnership with AFSA. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage AFSA's International President, Stephen Harrow.
I hate scripts. I like speaking from the heart, especially when it comes to this great association. So first off, welcome to Orlando, and welcome back, AFSA family. How y'all feeling out there? There we go. There we go. All right. You heard me talk about it last night. I'm going to keep saying it. This weekend and this week is all about connection. This is how we lead the association. This is what was missing throughout the channels of AFSA, is connecting service members and their families to the mission of this association. So, Chief Wolf, thank you so much for coming out here. It's always good to see a past chapter president as well in the crowd, right? Having representation, Chief Apodaca, I need to get a picture with you later because I have to send it to my mentor, Chief Kendall Clark, that I think you know. Right? Laura Riley, first-time attendees, thank you so much for coming out and supporting. To make sure this organization runs effectively, we all have to find the time to move it forward, right? From the chapter presidents to the chapter members to the division teams to the international staff, right? We're always giving the minutes, right, which isn't always promised. Right, they're a very limited resource. So I can't thank my wife, Laura and Riley, enough for giving me the minutes to give the minutes to the association. I want everybody to have a phenomenal time. Talk to people around you. Try to find those individuals that you don't know that you want to meet and have those conversations, because that is what's going to make the highlight of your week. I promise you. Everybody have a great time, and thank you so much for coming out. One more thing. We had it last night. Let's say for the people that weren't in the room, we are AFSA! You're absolutely right. We are. Let's keep having a good time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, President Harrow. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage, representing the Office of the Chief Master Sergeant of the Space Force, Chief Master Sergeant Charles Apodaca.
All right, hey, good morning, everybody. On behalf of the Chief Master Sergeant of the Space Force, Chief Bentavenia, welcome. It was about 15, 16 years ago that I came to my first professional development opportunity. It was called the Professional Airmen's Conference. And that was one of the most meaningful changes in my life and in my career, and it really changed the trajectory of how I led, how I invested in people, and how I took care of teams. One thing I just want to share with you real quick, when we were there, I remember looking and seeing for the first time, I was a Master Sergeant, for the first time in person, I got to see a Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. I was Air Force, did 22 and a half years before I turned over. I'm not a traitor, I just went on to do something else. But for the first time, and I felt it right here, and I can still remember it as I'm up here on the stage, I got to see a Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. And not only did I get to do that, I got to sit there and watch them. They were on stage. It was Chief Roy. He'll be here tomorrow, he said, to say hey to everybody. And he talked with us. He had a good time. He laughed with us. He joked with us. And that was already truly special. And then the next thing happened. All of the Chief Master Sergeants of the Air Force that did that before, they joined him on stage. And they talked to us. They talked to us. I'd never met these people before, and they talked to us about all the really important things going on across the force. They sat there and they listened to us. They didn't just listen to the questions that we had, but they listened to us. And they took the time to do that. It was truly special. We have a lot of those folks here today. Couldn't be more proud than to be here and be a part of this. They got up on stage, and hopefully they do that this time. They picked at each other. They joked at each other. They gave each other a hard time, and I think they argued with each other a little bit as well. And they just really made for a cool experience. And as if that wasn't enough, I think they're giving each other a hard time at the table right now, actually. But as if that wasn't enough, when we'd go to the bar or the restaurant at the end of the evening, they would be down there having a beverage with us, and they would just BS with us for hours until it was time to go to bed, probably 1, 2 in the morning, which we shouldn't be doing, but we did, and it was a great time. What I remember, they were people. They cared. They gave a damn. And that really changed my career. It changed the way that I led forward, and I'll never forget that, and I hope I pay it forward to everybody else that's in the room and across our services. That wouldn't have happened without AFSA. You know, to AFSA, thank you for being there. Thank you for taking care of our people. Thank you for taking care of our teams. Thank you for your continued effort of fighting for our benefits. And thank you for being the voice on the Hill for us. It's important. We're lucky to have you as a partner. We're lucky that we have you at our 6. And please know that we also have your 6. To our sponsors, want to take a moment to say more than just the typical thank you, we couldn't do this without you. That's what you usually hear at these events. While that's true, we are very thankful, and we really couldn't do this type of thing without you. You got to know that this is one of the most special events that we hold for our service members every single year, and we get so much out of it. We get to invest in people. We get to spend time with our folks. We get to partake in all the professional development that's put on throughout here, put on by AFSA. It's a really good time. We get to connect. We get to invest in our history, our heritage, our culture, and we get to spend time with each other. It's because of events like this that allow our folks to be the most lethal forces across the globe. So thank you for your sponsorship. It's not just a sponsorship, and it's not just an investment. You're a part of this team. Hold your heads high, because that's truly special. To the people in the room, we hope you enjoy Orlando. There's a lot to offer, but more importantly, we hope that you take everything out of here and you soak up everything that you possibly can and take that back to your people. Invest in your people, because they deserve it. If they didn't get the time to be able to be here this year, do everything you can to get them out here next year and the following year and the year after that. But if they can't come, take everything you get out of here and invest back into them. Appreciate you letting me spend a little bit of time with you this morning. Hoping we get to hang out a lot this week. Thanks for everything.
Thank you, Chief Master Sergeant Apodaca. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage the 21st Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, David Wolf.
All right, thanks everybody for coming this morning. What a great weekend this is going to be, and what a great week. And we're looking forward to seeing everybody and spending time together. Chief Finch, Pat, Chief Campanelli, and Lori, thank you guys so much for being here. It means the world to us that we've got our former Chief Master Sergeants of the Air Force that we've all been looking up to for a very long time, and to have you here means a lot to us. Thanks to my wife Danielle for being here and coming along for this ride and putting up with all this madness. It's amazing. Wouldn't want to do it any other way than with you. So why AFSA. Why does it matter? I'm going to share with you what I've been telling our NCOs and our senior NCOs for probably, I don't know, the last 15 years since Shane Holtz and I decided to start taking over base organizations together back in the mid-2000s. Why AFSA? There's a lot of there can be a lot of reasons that people say that they join private organizations like AFSA or the top three organizations like that. Number one, AFSA is the only professional organization on a base that one of their main focuses is to put money in our pockets and to protect the benefits and the structures that take care of our military families and our veterans for the rest of their lives. None of the other organizations have that in their mission statement. So that right there probably should be enough. But maybe for some folks it's not, because they're not quite catching that vision. And then there's some folks that join private organizations like AFSA because of what they perceive that it might do for their personal growth, development, their career, things like that. And that's fine. That's great. That's a good reason to join too. As a leader, when I look at people who are leading in these organizations, I can tell a lot more about your ability to lead teams of people by how you lead people that have absolutely no reason to follow you other than they want to, and they want to do the mission with you. Think about that. When we give you subordinates, they kind of, we've got UCMJ, right? And there's things in the chain of command that make it so they kind of have to follow you. At AFSA, if they don't like the way you're doing things, they just won't come back. And it's as simple as that. So the leadership opportunity that AFSA gives to our people is extremely important to me and to the other chiefs out there. And we just really appreciate when people really dive in and try to make a difference with the organization. Organizations like AFSA will change your life if you let it. And it'll change it because you get to meet new people and make new connections and have a network that you wouldn't have otherwise. And it's all a bunch of like-minded people who believe the same things you believe and are trying to make things better. So I'd like to give just a couple of charges. How many folks here are chapter or division leadership? Raise your hand real quick. Okay. So I'm talking to you guys specifically right now, but really anybody in the room who wants to help them with this, if you are not in an official leadership position, you've got a charge here too. So for our chapters and for our divisions, have an aim this year. If you haven't established one yet, you've got to have some specific objectives that you're going after. I remember being in the chapter leadership at our chapter at Elmendorf. It was chapter 1473. We set a simple goal. We had about 900 members on the books, and we decided by the end of the year we're going to have 1,473 members. Very simple goal. This is the number of our chapter. Now, if your chapter is in the 200s, that's not a good goal. Come up with a better one than that, right? You see my point, though. Have a goal, have an aim. If you don't have an aim as an organization, you will not be able to build a plan to mobilize people towards that aim. The same thing applies in how you lead in our Air Force if you're active duty guard or reserve. You've got to have an aim for your organization. So come up with an aim, come up with some goals. Be bold about it. Maybe the goal is something that when people hear you say it, they think to themselves, this person's crazy. We're never going to be able to accomplish that. I think then you're probably on the right track. You're probably on the right track. Be bold about the goals that you're setting out for your organization. If you've read Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, if you haven't, it's a great, I highly recommend you take a look at that. One of the concepts that he talks about in the book, where he's comparing companies that are really good to companies that went like 10x and beat everybody in their industry. One of the things that he found is those industries had something called a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal, something that people thought was just absolutely insane. and they set it out and they gave that vector, that goal to their organization, and they did it and they pulled it off and they beat everybody else. Not that we're trying to necessarily beat other chapters, but I think some of you guys are. There's a little competition going on in AFSA between the divisions and the chapters. I think there probably is. Healthy competition, right? So have a goal, make it lofty, and then even if you fall a little bit short of that goal, you will be in such a great place at the end of the day. It doesn't matter. It's not really about whether or not you achieve perfectly what you set out to achieve. It's about the journey of getting there, and it's about doing amazing things together. So folks, as you go about the week, I hope that you're making some new friends. I hope that you are paying attention to what's going on with folks. You're going to reconnect with people you haven't seen in a while. Check on them. See how they're doing. I'll end here how I end every all-call as I travel about the Air Force. I've got one tasker for you, and that's go find somebody to help. There's people out there that are struggling. There's people out there that needed a word of encouragement. People that are going through something that they're probably never going to tell you the details of. And if you can be that one person that reaches out to them, maybe you can help them get into a better spot, get on track in a better way. And that's what we need. We need everybody that's on this team to be performing at the top level that they're capable of. And sometimes life happens. There's people in this room right now there's enough of you here. Somebody's going through some stuff right now. Reach out to folks, check on them, see how they're doing. Make sure they know that they're loved and cared about. Looking forward to seeing you guys out and about on the floor. Keith, great job. I'm not sure I've seen more exhibitors than what we've got here for this one. Awesome job. That's really encouraging, and I really love to see that. So, folks, thank you so much for coming out, and we'll see you out on the floor. Thanks.
Thank you, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Wolf. I'd like everyone to take a moment to just look around the room, just take a look left and right, and realize that we have decades of experience in this room, experience in leadership, in service. And one of the key takeaways from yesterday was how our network is our net worth. So take advantage of this professional development forum and just take it all in. Spark conversation, ask questions, and bring those experiences back to your work center and your chapter. The things that we are creating today and the relationships and partnerships that we're building is going to make a lasting impact for the future generations to come. At this time, please rise as Convention Chaplain and our International Vice President, Jim Christinger, comes to the stage to deliver the invocation.
Let us pray. Lord, we come to you proclaiming that you are all-powerful, all-loving. You are our tower of strength. You are ever-present help in our times of trouble. We come to you with thankful hearts for all the blessings that you have given our country the last 250-plus years. Bless the food that has been prepared for us this morning, and may it nourish our bodies. May we do your will. Our hearts are also filled with thankfulness for the women and men who serve our country in the armed forces. Their love for our country and for our people is inspiring. Father, we are reminded our soldiers, sailors, Marines, guardians, and airmen fight many personal battles, and we ask that today you would intervene in their lives and help them, each one individually. Lord, we know that at times when one suffers from loneliness, homesickness, exhaustion, sadness, fear, weather conditions, personal physical conditions, a myriad of other difficulties, we ask that every need would be ministered to this day. We ask that you would come to each one of them and ease that personal challenge to give one a renewed hope and cheer. We ask that you would refresh each and every one in this day, and everyone is here. We thank you for bringing us together to pursue the aims and objectives of the Air Force Sergeants Association. We pray you give us the knowledge and guidance to make the right decisions and govern the causes of this association. May we stay the course. May we be true to our enlisted members and their families, and we remember those who we are and why we do these things. May you continue to guide, guard, and protect us in this association. We ask this in the name above all names of Jesus. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Now, the time has come, what everyone has been waiting for. Breakfast is ready to be served. organization. When I arrived at my first duty station, I looked at every organization on base, trying to find where exactly I fit. And every organization had something valuable to offer, but none of them felt quite right. But then I found Chapter 881 at Whiteman Air Force Base in 2017, and from day one, AFSA always felt like family. It wasn't just another professional organization that was checking the box and doing the things that was required of them. It was a community of people who cared about one another and were passionate about advocating for others. And that feeling is why I'm standing here today. The video you're about to see captures the heart of who we are, what we stand for, and why our mission matters. Whether you're a longtime member or experiencing AFSA for the first time, I hope you see what so many of us have found: a family united by service, advocacy, and a commitment to taking care of our military community. At this time, please turn your attention to the screen.
We are service members and families.
We are all ranks.
We are change agents.
We are the Air Force Sergeants Association. So AFSA was formed in 1961, and the founding principles that we had then still exist today.
For over 45 years, the Air Force Sergeants Association has existed to advocate, educate, and legislate. That is the foundation that we have built this organization on.
We still educate and advocate for our service members, past, present, and future. We're still working on the quality of life for all of our airmen, guardians, and families, not only them, but also across the DoD.
The needs of our enlisted voices, the needs of our families, the needs of our veterans aren't ever going to change, and we have to continue to fight for those and advocate for those rights.
AFSA is there making sure that the securities are there for your benefits and your families.
First of all, your education benefits. AFSA fights for that for you. As a family member, we have family member trustees that are continuing to fight for you. Parental leave, we have the FCC. As a veteran, AFSA is fighting for you day in and day out, making sure that your benefits continue to be there.
So AFSA does provide professional development and education for all demographics of our membership. A lot of the times we think that it's only the active duty members getting served, but we also have seminars for those members who are retiring, retirees, and the veterans because they're part of our service as well.
Professional education, training, and development is crucial. That's what leaves our legacy, not only as people, but on this organization. And we do that through mentorship. We do that through different scholarships. We do that through a lot of different networking opportunities.
Our airmen, our NCOs, our senior NCOs, our guardians, it's really important for them to have that opportunity to network and for that mentorship. Number one, so that they know that somebody cares. Number two, so that they know that their voice is being heard. And number three, to challenge them. Every one of them put the uniform on and is a warrior airman.
The networking piece is massive. When I joined AFSA, it was a peer that was my mentor. I've had mentors in AFSA that were a lower rank than me. And it wasn't about the rank, it was about the passion. Because at the end of the day, taking care of service members and the family is a great mission to be a part of, and more people need to take part in that.
There are no ranks in the room. Sometimes it is on resumes, but we don't lead with that. There's no professional organization out there that affords our airmen, regardless of rank, the opportunities that AFSA does.
When I came to my first international conference, that was one of the things that hit me the most, because I was like, wow, like, there's literally every rank in here. I was able to network with so many people, and it's just like amazing the amount of wisdom that you can get from different sectors of people. And so AFSA lays that platform for you.
There's so many skills that you can take out of AFSA by being involved with it. Learning how to market, how to brand, how to budget, how to execute big plans for an event. Me personally, it taught me leadership, from leading the chapters to now leading an association.
The biggest lesson on leadership that I have learned from AFSA is how much you have to care. Seeing from all the way from the international president, all the way down to chapter presidents, just how much they care.
AFSA is fighting for people on Capitol Hill. Those warriors who might be on the front line, who might be in the desert, who might be overseas, who don't have that availability to fight on Capitol Hill, that's where AFSA comes to bat for.
Air Force Sergeants Association has a legislative forum, And in that forum is where we address the issues for all our members, advocating for military, for the retirees, for veterans and families, all across the armed forces, for their economic needs and for the vitality of their benefits.
We are constantly on Capitol Hill. We have our own lobbyists. They are using testimonies that have been provided by our service members and their families to better educate those on Capitol Hill that will be the ones to make those changes needed for our families and our service members.
Everyone should join AFSA because it supports everything that the armed forces represents.
Everyone should be a part of AFSA. AFSA is already 75,000 strong, but that's 75,000 voices, and there's still many that we don't have. The worst thing I hear any of my mentees say is that nobody cares. AFSA cares.
To me, AFSA is family.
AFSA means family.
AFSA is a family to me, not just knowing what they do for our service members and their families, but also being a part of such a big mission. Our membership takes care of our membership.
People should join AFSA because of the impact that they are making still to this day. If you want an organization to support that's actually going to listen to what you have to say, AFSA is the way to go.
You will reap over and over and over again the benefits to being an AFSA member.
AFSA is there for you, and so joining AFSA and being a part of AFSA is one more voice that we can continue to fight for.
AFSA is a forever organization from the beginning of your service all the way, to that final sunset. We're gonna ride with you and take care of you. You just have to give us a chance to fight for you.
We are AFSA, no matter where we are.
We are family.
We are AFSA.
Tomorrow, we stand in strength and unity through triumph and through sorrow. This is our mission. This is our promise we defend. This is AFSA. This is family till the end. This is our promise. This is our mission. This is our promise. This is AFSA.
Now, it is my honor to introduce our keynote speaker for this morning's ceremony. During his Air Force career, he served as a command chief, advising commanders and supporting more than 4,500 enlisted personnel. Additionally, as a survivor of childhood trauma and creator of the Warrior Heart Resilience Framework, he has spent more than 20 years training military, federal, NFL, and executive audiences in resilience and mental fitness. His message is authentic, practical, and proven. Get excited and please join me in welcoming the Chief Executive of On the Brink Consulting, Anthony Brinkley.
All right. How's everybody doing? We good. Don't worry about the mic. We're going to go. How's everybody doing? Who? All right. It is my privilege to be here. Thank you. It's my privilege to be here. This organization is very important to me. Yeah, you're going to have to mic me up because I got to move. I can't stand still. So what I would say to you is I know we've extended pleasantries appropriately to those who have served in prior positions, albeit Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, presidents, past and present. Steve, a friend of mine, I appreciate the invitation. See, we doing this on the fly, baby. This is what we do. But at the end of the day, we have work to do. And, oh, do I have a clicker? Oh, this is my clicker. Oh, cool. So now, see, we didn't even do this, but I'm good. We ready? We on? All right, testing 1, 2. Now, I want to thank those who continue to serve beyond the capacity of their tenure, because you didn't have to show up. So my respect for you is immense. My level of appreciation, because you paved the way. But we got work to do in here today. Who? I want this to be a good week. I want this to be interactive. I'm a firm believer that we create the experience ourselves. We're the ones that can epitomize greatness, overcoming things. So this right here, when I thought about this, I tell people that all great leaders, in my opinion, are part heart surgeons, meaning you meet people and they may have a circumstance that's going on, as Chief Wolf said so eloquently, that people are dealing with things. So when I do my training with some of the programs I have 2 goals. One goal is to help people with the problem they haven't told anybody about. That's one of my first goals, is to help people with the problem they haven't told anybody about. The second one, it might seem funny or even rudimentary, but it's foundational, is to connect people with their inner child. Because if you look at how a person develops and how their orientation to themselves and the world, it all happens based on a couple factors when they're young. And then we become things because we got disconnected from that child. So that's what we're going to hit today a little bit. But I got to get y'all somewhere. So then I started thinking about this, and I thought about Teddy Roosevelt when he wrote down and he penned this thing talking about the man in universal sense, mankind, the man in the arena. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The bottom line, Teddy Roosevelt's talking about many people will come to the arena to spectate and castigate and critique those whose faces are marred with dust and sweat and blood, who strive valiantly, who errs, who even comes up short again and again, but there is no effort without error and shortcoming. So at the end of the day, the people who get in the arena, the people who serve our country, the people who do what other people will not do are the ones that's going to be remembered, are the ones that's going to be reflected on beyond their time, beyond their tenure. Can I get a witness? I ain't in church, I'm sorry. Thought I was in church. So the times call for us to actually look at ourselves introspectively and say, are we equipped to do the things that we're called to do? Are you built for the spectacle? And can you discover those things within you that's going to take you to a level that people that don't even know your name are going to need? Because if we don't get this thing right, borders change, boundaries change, language change, lives change. So let's talk about being consequential. So when I started thinking about this particular forum that you all put together about building people and creating that warfighter and building on that legacy, as you talked about, I started thinking about spectators, and I juxtaposed them against the participants, who everyone in this room is. What do spectators do? They fake it. What do people that's real do? They're actually in it. There's a level of nobility. People who are spectators will make excuses, while people who are participants like, I got to make this thing happen. And so you have to ask yourself, what part of the equation are you associated with? All talk, no walk. That's spectators. But then people that's in it, We're unassuming. We're just trying to do what needs to be done. When I look at these tables of people past and present, they decided when the nation called for them, they stood up. And that's what we have to continue to do. Cynics. Think about it. When you get in the arena, I'm talking about building, I'm going to take y'all somewhere. When you get in the arena, all these thousands of people come to see, in the gladiator sense, 2 people show up. And we typically only remember one, the one who won. The one who bore all of the challenges and circumstances and continued to fight. While though there's never been a monument erected to a critic. Not one time. And so why do we spend time worried about what people say who don't have the fortitude, dedication, and all of those things to get in the freaking arena? Because when you get in the arena, everybody can see you. You on a ledge, you vulnerable, you exposed. But that's how legends are born. I see legends up in this room, not from a hyperbole standpoint, because we need you to be legendary. Because what is being called, for those of you who know me, I travel this world. I travel this world and I see people away from their families, sacrificing and making all kinds of demands on them and their family. And they don't complain typically, but they shouldn't have to complain if we're taking care of them. Are y'all with me? So the most important thing someone's ever going to do is hand you their son or hand you their daughter and say, take care of them. I see the beautiful, what's your daughter's name again? Riley, right? I see the beautiful Riley. Hey, Steve, do me a favor. Stand up, hold Riley up. Show Riley to the whole room. Show it to the whole room. That girl is so sweet. I said, you better watch that child, because I'm going to take that little cute baby home with me. She's so precious. That's why we do what we do. I was just teaching at the First Sergeant Academy on Monday, and this young man said to me, Chief, I'm glad I'm here, but I'm struggling. I said, why? I got 4 days notice to go to school. That happens sometimes. I'm not casting aspersions on anybody, making a point. He said, I had to get here on 4 days notice, and then I'm missing my daughter's first day of school. I'm never going to get that back. Y'all can relate to that, right? That's why I remember when I was a young man, they said, you in the service, you in the service. I said, I'm in the Air Force. They said, no, you in the service. Why you keep saying I'm in the service? Because you serve others. I am in the service. So I told the young man, if you're going to make a sacrifice and miss your daughter's first day of school, it better be worth it. If you're going to be here this week and you're going to be away from your family or you away from your unit, you got to go home better. When I first started teaching this, because I'm a subject matter expert for the Department of Defense on resiliency and trauma, so I look at empirically based data, I create curriculum, and when I first started studying this, when I started doing some of the presentations, and Steve remembers this, the number used to be 7,000 Americans died a day. Every day in this country, 7,000. Now the number is 8,000 a day. 8,000 Americans will die today in this country. And the reason the numbers spiked, the mortality rate changed, is because we've had so many suicides, so many drug overdoses, and so many people die of cirrhosis of liver, which is associated with alcohol abuse, that it's affected our mortality rate. What am I trying to get you to understand? We got work to do. So how are we taking care of that person's son and that person's daughter? And why are you in the room? Because as the leader, as the people who are the font of wisdom and the point of reference we have, you are the first responder to our airmen and their families. I know you know that. I'm just reminding you of what's important. So now I'm going to take y'all back to basic training. Why are we in this room? Why are we in Orlando? Basic training. Somebody, y'all can yell it out to me. What is the command mark time? What's the purpose of mark time? Can't hear you. To get prepared. For what? For the next what? So in other words, this is what we're doing. Thank you for that. We got people in formation. They moving out. And then we looked, hey, you out of step. Hey, you moving slow. Hey, you're kind of off rhythm. hey, you're going in the wrong direction. So we got to stop what we're doing and mark time. And while you marking time, you have to be vigilant because we're supposed to be going somewhere. We're supposed to be doing something, but because we've noticed some things within our organization that we need to address, we got to stop and mark time. And I'm going to tell you what bothers me about some of this. I'm being real with y'all, but this is good because y'all can handle this because you're the leaders. When the budget gets bad, the first thing we cut is programs that help people mark time. Or the first thing we do is stop doing stuff because we don't have time for those things, and then we start seeing indicators that people are struggling. So while you're here this week, you need to mark time. Where am I in my life? Where's my family? How's my health? What instruction have I not followed that's causing me problems in my life? So now, because at a certain point, like the chief said, after you finish marking time, they're going to say, let's go, forward march, because we got to go somewhere. And I'm tired of people getting in front of you that you don't deserve their attention. I mean, they don't deserve your attention because they're not prepared and they're not challenging you and they're not telling you you need to mark time or you need to think. So now, as a person who studies this stuff, let me ask y'all a question because I got to get y'all somewhere so we can go on with your day. If people going to call out to work, they're not going to come to work on a day. What day do you think they're going to call in sick? Mondays. Check this out. What do they call, what's the term people have coined for Sundays? Anybody? For some people. Sunday scaries. See, some of y'all, Sunday, why they call it the Sunday scaries? Because this is why, to your point, you want to talk about culture? It don't matter what you put on the wall or your website. It's how your people feel Sunday night before they have to go to work on Monday. You want to evaluate your play. And oh, by the way, if you do studies, you can take Monday and add the rest of the weekdays up, and it won't add up to how many days that people call out. Monday is disproportionately larger than most days. People physically get ill. They get anxiety. They do, and in many people's lives, Sunday is a wasted day because they traumatized or they stressing. They don't get sleep. And so we're losing people because we don't understand them. Are we tracking? This is how y'all need to be thinking. So now I want to talk to y'all about legacy. I got legacy sitting up in here. Chief Campanella is still the smoothest one. Every year I see him, he's smooth. I told you he used to just glide across the stage. I said, damn, how he do that? They put wheels under his shoes or something? He was just smooth. Chief Finch, he used to dig in my butt. He just hardcore. All right, man, come on, Brink. Love him. Legacy. So let me talk to y'all about legacy. I'm going to talk to you about a couple of my mentors. Chief Paul Airy. And this ain't about me. I'm trying to make a point. If people struggling, they trying to work through some tough stuff, we need to get them in the arena to function appropriately and effectively. How do we get there? I am an American Airman. I'm a warrior. I have answered my nation's call. I am an American Airman. My mission is to fly, fight, and win. I'm faithful to a proud heritage. What's your heritage? How can you go back to people who showed up and say, I extracted something from the past, which has become instructive to the future? Because how life works is you experience life going forward. You understand it looking back. Can I get a witness? So now what I need y'all to understand is I was going through some challenging times in my life, and I met, God rest his soul, Paul Airy, and he took me under his wing, and we used to talk. And he would send me letters, and I would write him. That's one of the letters right there that he sent me. And he was like, Brink, you got a chance to be different. You got a chance to help people. And the thing I loved about Paul Airy that most people don't even know, he loved the Air Force. Y'all know that part. But he was a first sergeant, so we connected that because I was a first sergeant for 12 years. And when Paul Airy finished being Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force, what did he do, y'all? What was his job after that? He went what? He did what? He went back to be a first sergeant again. He wasn't caught up in his position. He was like, I still want to serve. I'm not walking around waiting for somebody to call my name first in the room. And then my other mentor, God rest his soul, I'm talking about legacy. For those you taking notes, you should write down, there should be evidence of your leadership in people's lives. There should be residue from you impacting that person. So rhetorically, my question to you is, if you've been charged to lead people in the next 5 years, will there be evidence that you was in their lives to the affirmative? And so Bob Gaylor, he took me under his wing. And so I remember stuff about Bob Gaylor. And he said something years ago that seemed out of pocket or out of time because the technology wasn't there yet. And he says, we have to have analog leadership in a digitized world. He said that decades ago. We get into technology stuff, and we're using that stuff primarily, and we're not connecting with people, and we're losing people because we didn't know them. And then I remember the story about hot fries. People like hot fries. The point I'm trying to make to you when I think about Chief Gaylor is that in his 90s, he was still relevant to scores of different generations. The week before he died, he did his Facebook podcast. And I'm saying that to say it's people sitting in positions right now. See, we have a family business in here. We having a family talk in here. And it's people that's sitting in positions, and I know the chiefs will appreciate this. I had to professionally go off on a chief recently because they were in charge of some people and I was doing some work. And they said, I'm just trying to get through the last 2 years. And I said, Chief, candidly, you are failing. Because you take your check every month and you got tired. Maybe you need to pray if that's your faith. Maybe you need to sit down with somebody. Maybe you need to take a knee. But if you're saying you're just trying to get through 2 years, you shouldn't be leading anybody. And my point to you is that we got airmen right now. And when I was at Andrews, every Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday, I had to go to the runway and I would see the wounded come in different states of condition. Right now. Y'all know that. Some of y'all seen more than I seen, but I seen my share. And it's not about putting weight on it, but I'm just saying to you that right now we got people that wish they could be in this room. What are you going to do with this time that you have? Have fun, enjoy. This is a very important organization. It's been articulated by various people smarter than me this morning. But I'm just telling you at the end of the day, what's the evidence that you're here? What's going to be the evidence beyond your time? Let me keep going. So I'm going to tell you part of my story. So part of my story was I used to be in Korea. I spent 4 years in Korea. And one of the years I worked for, I used to have to give tours at the DMZ. I could tell you whatever you wanted about Korean history. 1950, 1953, that was the active occupation, not occupation, but what happened during the fighting. And obviously it's still a declared war, the 38th parallel. And we would go down in the tunnels. And it's a fascinating story. But anyway, you go down there, you see North Koreans on one side of the tunnel. I know these pictures are hard to see because they're old, but that picture on the top is one side is North Korea and the other side is South Korea. And we would go in the room, and on half the room, y'all know this stuff, but in half the room, that's North Korea. So you enter in on one side, North Korea, South Korea come on the other side. We have meetings. And you'd have to sign a waiver to go up there because if something happened, the government was like, we're absolved of stuff because you're in a combat zone. So anyway, I was a 9-year Master Sergeant Select. They say, I'm winning in the game. Everything's going good. And I got any kind of award you want, I've won that award. But there's always more to the story. And most people just saw me as an airman that was doing well, but they didn't know that I was going through stuff. I had death in my family. I had some medical stuff going on. I was going through relational stuff. And I was hungry, literally hungry in your Air Force. I'm talking about leaving residue on people. I don't want to leave nobody behind. Get in the freaking arena. What's the evidence that you showed up? So now I'm in the organization, and this guy named Randy Bass, Master Sergeant Randy Bass, I thought he was the most ate-up Air Force dude. I said, man, it don't take all that to love the Air Force. All you talk about is, you cut me, I bleed blue. I ain't trying. You cut me, I'm going to cut you back. That was my mentality. Try to hear that. So I'm going through all these things, and I would cash my paycheck, and I'd have $15 to last me for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, but nobody knew it because I was proud. I looked sharp in my uniform. I won any awards you could win. And I'm dying on the inside. Because what typically don't we do for our high performers, y'all? Somebody yell out, what don't we do typically? How y'all know it? Why don't we check in on them, y'all? Because we think they're doing good. Yep. So anyway, so nobody's checking in. And part of my ego, I presented that, so I won't put it all. So, but Randy Bass was present. He was in my life. And what he did was, I was hungry and I was struggling, but I wouldn't ask for help. So he said, one day he came to work, he said, Brink, man, they had 2-for-1 Subway sandwiches today. What do I look like eating 2 Subway sandwiches? I mean, that's just a lot. Do you want a sandwich? I said, well, Natalie, I didn't ask for the sandwich, so I'll take it because you gave it to me. Another day, I was stationed, I was doing protocol for a 4-star at the time. So then, he comes in one day in Yongsan, which they've deactivated, everything's Camp Humphreys now. He said, Brink, my family sent me this big old box of food, but we got a commissary. Why would they give me this big box of food when we got a commissary? Brink, you want this food? I'm like, well, I ain't asked for it, so, I'll take it. So another day he comes, he said, Brink, man, I don't know what my wife was thinking. She done made this big old pan of lasagna, and I don't need carbs like that in my life. So would you take this lasagna? Randy Bass was feeding me in the Air Force, and I didn't even know it. You got people around you that's dying in plain sight. But because Randy knew of my mentality, he knew he couldn't just come ask me. So he was patient with me. And then what does it mean to forbear? It means you carry other people's load. And for you to make a difference, you got to give something that costs you something. Not something you want to get rid of. Something you would want for yourself. What is it that you're willing to give somebody? That's what this organization is about. I want other people to have what I would want for me and my family. What is it that you're willing to sacrifice that's going to help somebody? So then everything's going terribly in my career. I mean, at this point, because I'm sad. I'm going through things. I had medical stuff, and I'm breaking down. But I look good in uniform. And then on one phone call, Chief, my mother called me and said, your father had a stroke. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because you remember back in the day in Korea, if they call you from the States, it had a different ring to it. And I used to tell my mama, don't call me over here because it's bad news. So when the phone kind of rang funny over there, you was hoping the call wasn't for you. And my mother said, your father had a stroke. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. She said, I'm not finished. I said, what do you mean? She said, your grandfather had a stroke. On the same phone call, I learned my father and my grandfather had a stroke. And I'm broke. And Randy Bass came to get me. So he would take us to climb mountains. So you see me, I'm up there. We went mountain climbing. So Randy's the guy at the bottom, and Sergeant Wills, the lady, she was my Army supervisor, Sergeant Hernandez. So I was in a joint unit. And we climbing mountains. He talking to me about life, Natalie. He telling me, Brink, it's going to be okay. I'm like, how you know things bad? I'm just telling you, Brink, it's going to be okay because our Air Force takes care of us. And it's a thing called AFSA, and they got Air Force aid. So he walks me over to Air Force aid, and they give me a ticket home. And I go home, and they sent me an emergency PCS because I was short of leaving. So now I go home, but I'm still broken. But I'm starting to think this Air Force thing might be okay because somebody looked out for me. So then I get back and I start thinking about you all again. I'm going to get to the next point here in a second. When I think about what you do, I think about the challenges. Your jobs are like, it's like you juggling, running chainsaws. It look good when it work. You flipping it behind your back, you catching it, you spinning around like, yeah, until it don't work. You done cut your arm off now. You got to find a whole new thing to do. And if you look at this person, they're juggling, running chainsaws. And this is what great people do, and sometimes to their own detriment. This guy is juggling, running chainsaws, but if you look at his right wrist, I think it's his right wrist, it's bleeding. A lot of people show up like this dude in this picture. They come and they do something dynamic and they hurt. And think about this. When he put the bandage on, Keith, when he wrapped it up, you couldn't see blood coming through the bandage. He was covering his wound. He was hiding his wound And he kept showing up. And that's how we lose good people. They going through stuff, they challenged, and they wounded, and they keep showing up. Who in your life is going through something and you don't see it? So it's all about restore. So Randy started to restore my process. So now, Keith, they tell me, Brink, I had all these special duty jobs. I'm like a 10-year master sergeant. And they say, you're going to be in charge of this organization. I ain't never ran no organization. I look good on paper. But they were like, Brink, you in charge? In charge of what? I had the snack bar at the last unit. I was in the booster club. I was the AFSA chapter dude. I was that guy. We're going to give you peoples. What I'm going to do with peoples? So now, they tell me I'm going to have people, and I'm going to tell you something. I got afraid because I didn't want to fail somebody's son or somebody's daughter, and I knew I was unprepared. So all these people start schooling me. I start thinking about Chief Gala. I start thinking about the priors. I start thinking about Chief Airy. And they say, you could do this, man. Be humble. Show up. You can say you care. This was a statement somebody told me a long time ago. You can say you care, but you can't fake being there. I care. Where you at? I care. I can't see you. What's the evidence of you caring? So let me get to this. So now I go to my next unit. You see the old uniform, got the patch. I don't know which one of y'all did that with them uniforms. Probably Chief Finch. I want the patch. That's what we're doing. That's what, damn it, the patch. Anyway, so now we at the next unit, and they're cutting my, I'm about to pin on Master Sergeant. And I'm still going through stuff in my life. The unit I went to, it was a nice space warning squadron. We used to track intercontinental sea-launched ballistic missiles. And we used to do stuff with the space shuttle when the program was robust. So now I get there, and I replaced a guy that committed suicide. And he was a master sergeant, and I'm a brand new master sergeant chief replacing the guy that committed suicide. Not only did I replace him when he committed suicide, they left the organization vacant for 6 months. And they had a staff sergeant and a bunch of E4s in there. And for 6 months, they didn't give him any counseling, any help, or anything. And what happened to the guy, they loved this guy. He was beloved. I'm trying to talk to y'all about who's around you. What happens when you get in the arena? I had all this stuff, but I was unproven, like some of y'all. And then once you get this, you got to prove somewhere else. Not like I'm proving myself. I'm like, I gotta show myself worthy of this vocation. So now I get there. This guy had a drinking problem. He got a DUI. I had a DUI as a tech sergeant. I know a little bit about that. He got a DUI. And they liked him so much, and I think their heart might have gotten away a little bit, and they didn't hold him accountable, maybe like they should have. So then he stays around. He gets a second DUI, chief. Now he's like, I'm in trouble. What am I going to do? So now they're trying to figure out. His airman that I inherited found out that he was drinking again. And Keith, they found the bar that this guy was in, went to the bar, and they saw him in his car, and they were trying to get him to get out of his car, and he killed himself in front of my airman. And they left him alone for 6 months. And we cutting program. I'm not talking about programs for program's sake. I'm talking stuff that's going to connect us when people going through that, when they bleeding, but we don't see it till the blood come out. So now I come in that section, and I'm this brand new spanking master sergeant. I'm cutting the cake, and the kid right there cutting the cake on the top, eating the cake, Joel Peacock. I told him I was going to tell this story. I used to ride Joel Peacock because Joel Peacock used to use his charisma. He was blonde hair, blue-eyed, and everybody loved him. And I said, you're not living to your potential. You getting over, but you ain't that guy you think you are. So I rode Joel, and I was hard on Joel because I seen stuff in him. And he didn't like it. But I said, I didn't come here to be your friend. I came here to get you better because we're struggling. So now, all of this stuff's going on, and I told them this, Chief. I said, I'm not going to take a day off until everybody here can do my job as superintendent. I said, what? They didn't care because they didn't like me. So I said, we doing in-house training every week. I'm going to cross-pollinate y'all so we don't have specialists up in here all the time. Because we too small to have specialists. So everybody got to know a little bit so if somebody take a day off, the mission don't slow down. So after a while, they started learning, and we went to a 4-day work week, and the commander didn't even know it. I said, every week somebody getting the day off, because all people do when they come in, they want to see if they get their work done. They don't care who do it. But I'm there 3 months, 4 months, still ain't took a day off, and they don't really care. And Joel is like, Sergeant Brinkley, ride me. Sergeant Brinkley, ride. I'm talking about in that arena. This your crucible moment. The lasting evidence that you showed up. So now, I get in there, and Joel married a young lady from Korea. And as you can see, Joel's a Caucasian, and he's from Georgia, which is not a big deal. But his father, the way they grew up, he disowned his son because of the woman he married. So Joel's like, Sergeant Brinkley, what do I do? I love my dad, and I love my wife. What do I do? I said, well, you're going to always love your dad, but your wife gave up her life and livelihood to come with you. That's your responsibility, and if your dad love you, he going to come around. And eventually he did. But because she came to a whole new environment, I'm in that crucible moment, he's like, we trying to have a baby, but my wife can't even menstruate. Why are you telling me? Because he's starting to trust me now. So we're going through this stuff. I said, well, let's go to the chaplain. So we went to the chaplain. I found out a woman's menstrual cycle can stop if she's stressed. And stress was calling her not to have a child. And so we figured that out. So all this stuff's going on. I'm drilling them. So people say, Brink, what's the most proudest moment in your career? I said, man, every day I came to work in that place, it wasn't that they didn't like me. I reminded them of the man that died. So every day I showed up, they're like, this guy's here because the guy that we was with, he's gone, and they had survivor's grief. And so we had to work through all of that stuff. So anyway, what I'm trying to get y'all to understand is you're going to have them moments. You got airmen right now. When I came in, we had 700,000 on active duty. Y'all got about 300 now with twice the mission and more circumstances. So now we're going through all this stuff, and Joel comes around. And so one day, they started saying 4 months, 5 months, I haven't taken a day off. Sergeant Brinkley, when you going to take a day off? When y'all can do my job. When you can do my job and I can go somewhere, because I don't want to go nowhere and I can't enjoy myself or relax. 5 months is gone. When you going to take a day off? They briefing, I'm watching them do stuff. So after 6 months, Keith, I came in one day, I said, hey, I'm not going to be in on Friday. You'd have thought they hit the lottery because we became a family and they knew I cared about them. And this ain't about me being great. I'm making a point. If we're going to hand you somebody's child, you got to leave something in them better. So my proudest time in my career, my most easily by far, is 1994, Joel Peacock was Airman of the Year for Robins Air Force Base. My airman, the pretty boy, the blue-eyed, brown-haired, smooth guy that was BSing his way through his career. And he locked it in. And me and Joel talked the other day. He's in Korea now with his family, and he's retired. And he said, Chief, you don't remember this, but you used to tell us we had to learn a new word every day. Because I said your vocabulary, it's not robust. You need to expand your vernacular. You need to be condescending. You need to ascend. And so he said, every day you made us learn a new word. And I forgot about that. So when they asked him how hard was the board, because it was like 3 or 4 panel members and all these questions, he said, no, you don't understand. I worked for Sergeant Brinkley. And Sergeant Brinkley knew Bob Gaylor. And Bob Gaylor poured into his life. He knew Keith Reed. It ain't about the position, it's about your positioning in their lives. I got to get y'all home. So I want you to think about this for the rest of your life. Every conversation you have, you plant the seed. Are you planting something that's going to germinate that someone has to extract or eradicate or pull out or root or uproot? Or are you planting something that upon full bloom, it's going to matriculate you in other areas of your life? That's why whenever I meet somebody, and I'm going to tell you something, I wish the wait staff was here, because I was here like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I watched them people putting stuff on the tables and trying to get it right, running around trying to make sure y'all had what you needed. And so we'll walk past those people like they ain't nothing. Not y'all. But I'm saying, and it bothers me when we marginalize people. So think for the rest of your life, every time you with somebody, you planting a seed. And this is one of my last stories. So now, I do work for the NFL. And this dude anybody in the room know who this guy is? But nobody knows who he is. I'd be shocked. He played in the NFL, you see him with the Falcons. So nobody knows. Huh? Oh, it is? Oh, no, I ain't gonna click it. Oh, you trying to be funny. Try harder. He's like, see, I did? Anyway, let me tell you the story so I can get y'all out of here. His name is June Jones. We talking about being in the arena. We talking about making a freaking difference. We talking about leaving residue on people's lives. What's coming out of this? What's coming out of the position that you have? So June Jones was the 4th string quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. Now the picture on the right, that's when I met him in Hawaii because he was innovative. He used to be the coach of Hawaii, the Hawaiian football team. And so he came out with the run and shoot with SMU, all these different things he's done, innovative. But he would have never made it to Hawaii if it wasn't for the story when he was with the Atlanta Falcons. June Jones was the 4th string quarterback in the last preseason game of the year, which meant what? He was going to be cut. He wasn't making the team. Not only was he the 4th string quarterback, Keith, he hadn't even played in the preseason. So he's like, man, this is it. His uniform, from the first game to the 4th game, looked the same. And I know what that was like, because I used to play football, and I remember one game I was late for something. The coach said, you ain't playing. I said, well, I can't go home with no clean uniform. I just rolled on the dirt and walked back home. I said, what kind of dude got a clean uniform? I was embarrassed. So anyway, what happened was he was the 4th string quarterback. So the last preseason game, you don't play the starting quarterback because you don't want him to get hurt. So the 2nd string quarterback was playing. So he's playing the game. Everything's going good. Then a play comes up. Bam! Hit him. Helmet turns sideways. He walking to the wrong bench. So they're like, get the other quarterback in. June Jones was like, what I got to lose? So instead of the 3rd string, June Jones ran on the field and went in the huddle. They said, hey, what the hell's Jones doing in the freaking huddle? The coach was like, what the heck? It's the last game. Get a kid a shot. He goes in there and kills it. And that's how he made the NFL. That's how he made the Atlanta Falcons. It's people in your organization that all they need is an opportunity. All they need to know is that there's a chance for them to do something significant. And sometimes you got to be audacious. You can't wait for permission. You got to say, here's what we're doing. And I'm telling you right now, as the president, you're only going to be the president once. You're only going to be Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force once. You're only going to live once. I don't care what you walked in this room with. Every day, this day, 8,000 people are going to die in this country. Every day, this day, there's an opportunity for you to do something better. It's hard. Some of y'all in this room, you got a medical diagnosis and you limped in. And you hoping something changed. I've been there. And I'm telling you, you got this in you. So let's do this. So when you talk about being in the arena, we out here now. I need you to freaking be great. I need you to get him something to cheer about. Because I'm going to tell you what's going on right now in our country. Some people, they immature. They haven't developed the emotional intelligence or the sensibilities. So when they get upset, they put stuff out there. Because we got access to stuff now. It's easy. And sometimes you don't have a filter or a governor to slow you down in that process. So we got to be those people to help them when they struggling and they trouble and they want to give up. When I did my briefing last week, Keith Castile, this young lady cried the whole 2 hours. I said, let her cry. It's a release. It's an epiphany. Because it started off as tears of pain. Then I gave her stuff she needed, and it turned to tears of joy and release. She had a plan. But what I'm saying to you is that, so people are putting stuff out there, and in some cases, our leaders are failing them because they're not putting themselves in a position to say, I'm a resource. You can come to me when you're bleeding, so you don't have to bleed out. Because the most important thing that anybody's going to do is hand you their son, hand you their daughter. Thoreau once said, the truest life is when you live your dreams while you're awake. When you live your dreams while you're awake. Because if you dream while you're dreaming, it's just theoretical. But when you take it and you mature it, and now it goes through the birth canal of your life and your system, and you bring that thing to full term, you dream your dream while you're awake. You create legacy Where's the residue? And when you do that, you'll be able to look at people and tell them, I'm done, so whoever want to come up and close out or whatever, whoever they hand you, I need you to love on them like that's your daughter, like that's your son. Every time I talk to people, I tell them I speak like it's the last time I'm gonna ever get to speak. And oh, by the way, I know a lot about death, because by the time I was 6 years old, I'd seen 25 children die because I was going through chemotherapy when I was in the hospital. I'm very familiar with death, and I've seen death in combat. And I'm telling you, the great measure that people are giving by handing you their children, that's a debt that we can't repay, but we spend the rest of our lives trying. So it's been my pleasure. It's my privilege. I know we kind of came at you, but this is real. We got work to do. Have fun here. But you take care of those people, because they take care of us. Peace and blessings to you.
Go ahead and take your seat. I got some words to say about this man. Chief Brinkley is the definition of impact. All right, let's give it up for him one more time. Anytime he speaks, I write something down. And what I wrote down was residue on people's lives. He walked into my life at the Senior NCO Academy. I was in the death row, as I called it. I was a flight leader, I was in the front row, and I was just on the edge of light, so if I fell asleep, I was in the spotlight. He walked in the room, we looked at the schedule, it was a 2-hour commandant time right after lunch. Yeah. You know what happens right after lunch in a dark room. People start drifting off. When he talked about someone crying and that release of pain and the release of joy, he had the whole room locked in after lunch. I told him this morning, when I have a bad day, when I'm going through PTSD, when I'm seeing all these things, I go back to that list of notes. I keep it in my drawer in my office. I look at that, the tools he gave me, and the residue he put on my life with his words. I can't thank you enough for the impact you made today on the people that filled this room. And on behalf of the Air Force Sergeant Association, we made a donation to the Air Memorial Fund in your name, and I would like to give you this.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. And as he's walking off stage, I'm going to share one more thing. 2 years ago, I was blessed enough to be named the 29th International President. I messaged him when I got to my hotel for work in Colorado Springs. I said, people like you gave me the courage to get on stage. Not expecting a message back, and he gave me a voice message that I still play today to remind myself of who he is to everybody he comes in contact with. Chief, we love you. Thank you for always being a good friend and supporter. All right, Margot, come up here. Can we give it up for our amazing MC? I have 2 tokens here for Margot. One, for being a fantastic MC. I hand-selected her as well. I've never met her, right? But I'm going to talk about her real quick. But let's take this picture, and I'm going to brag on you a little bit. All right, let's scoot this way. Okay. Podium out of the way. Thank you. Let's stay right here. Lord knows I'm always on my phone. I'm always on the phone. I can't help it. But what people don't know, I'm always scrolling, liking and loving all the chapter social media posts and what they're doing. And I can tell you, at Whiteman, chapter 881, killing the game right now. If you do not follow chapter 881 on Facebook and social media, start. Everything that they're doing, that they're touching, I mean, this is why I never met her, but I was like, I need her to MC this breakfast, right? Because they're making community service look fun. They're making AFSA look different. They're bringing people in a room and getting them connected with the association and the mission of what we do, and that's to fight for service members and their families. So, yesterday I had mentioned, throughout this weekend, I'm naming some people that are top performers when it comes to connection. So it's not just because I gave you the gift for the MCing, and I appreciate you stepping up. But also, the Division III Exemplary Achievement Award winner for this year is Margot Cadigan. She's the definition of why AFSA is and what we mean, and when people step up and they make an impact. So please, please give it up one more time for our phenomenal MC.
This was truly unexpected. So thank you so much, International President Stephen Harrow. I could not do it without my family, my chapter family, and my division family, everyone coming together. What we do at Chapter 881 truly comes intrinsically. It's from the heart. It's from within, and it's genuine, and it's honestly remarkable that it's being seen and captured, and really just thank you so much. Getting back to it, though, a couple of notes as we conclude the ceremony. Can we have all airmen, NCOs, and senior NCO top performers, along with Member of the Year, Family Member of the Year, Sky High, and High Flyer nominees, please meet us at 1 p.m. in the Orlando Ballroom. Additionally, following this ceremony, the end of this ceremony, AFSA will have its first-time convention attendees take place in the Florida Ballroom, Room 1 and 2. Finally, our International Membership Chair, Cole Batpy, would like to share some exciting information with all of you today.
All right, morning, AFSA. How y'all doing today? Who's excited? That's what I'm talking about right there. All right, y'all, we're being bold today. I'm Cole Batpy. I'm the AFSA International Membership Chair, or Committee Chair. We're being bold today, and we have a special announcement. In celebration of America's 250th birthday, and in celebration of AFSA's 65th anniversary, we have 65 allocations, 65 spots, 65 memberships going on sale today. Member for Life sale for $250. Only 65 of those are available. Our membership booth is right outside these doors here. We got a team that's out there eagerly waiting to meet you all, interact with you all, and get you all membership. So please feel free to come out to the booth. We'll see you out there, and be great.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming this morning. This concludes the welcome breakfast, and please have a wonderful week.